You know, when you're searching Kijiji for computer shit and you see an amazing deal and you get in right on time, right as the guy posts it before anybody else, and you convince them to take your first offer and you feel so good about it. You're like, I can't believe I was the one of over the fucking hundreds of people that were bound to message this guy. I was the guy that got that shit done. You ever think to yourself, wouldn't it be nice if he had two of those and was willing to sell them both? Well, I got this, and it just so happens that the guy had two of them, actually. Maybe more like five, but I only bought two. Anyway, let's open them up, see what's inside of them, and see if we can't make some use out of them. So first, let's go over the ad itself. So the ad is still up, fortunately, because the guy still has some of these for sale. So if you want to swoop in and get these for yourself here in the Toronto area, by all means, I'm not going to begrudge you. He's listed it as a Silverstone SG05, just the case name in the title. So if you're looking at this at a glance, you have no idea that there are actually parts in this fucking thing until you read a little deeper. I did, because I found it very curious that somebody would be selling a Silverstone SG05 for nearly more than twice retail for $100 fucking. So when I clicked it, I was pleasantly surprised to see that there were indeed parts inside of it, and it was a fully working computer listed for $100. So let's go over the specs he has listed here. The motherboard, Gigabyte GAH55N-USB 3. It is a first generation Core i supporting 5 series chipset motherboard. As I have said over and over and over again in the past on my channel, older motherboards on still semi-sorta relevant sockets are in high demand because the majority of them are fucking dead, and there are plenty of chips in the world that would still work if they only had a motherboard to go with them. Not only that, this is ITX sized, which is fucking incredible, and it's a later generation 5 series board because it comes with USB 3 support. The rest of the specs are not as exciting, but a lot of the stuff is still usable. Core i5-661 is not actually a quad core. It is one of the few commercial non-T or S or bullshit letter i5s that isn't a quad core. It has 2 cores, 4 threads, so it is essentially like an i3. So this CPU is actually kind of garbage to me, and it'll probably just go in the bin. Maybe I'll find some guy willing to pay like $5 for it. Now the RAM is interesting. It's only a 2x2 set for 4 gigabytes in total, but looking through the side of this case here, I can see that there's actually only one stick in at least one of these units. Can't really tell in the second one, but the bottom line is each of them does have 4 gigabytes because we booted them both up and went into the BIOS and checked. And of course, with RAM prices being what they are today, I'll take any that I can get in any of these teardowns that I do. The case he has listed here, of course, in the title and in the description as the SG05 from Silverstone. The difference between this and the SG13 is that this doesn't take full-size power supplies, and I think it can only fit 120mm fans in the front as opposed to a 120 or a 140 on the SG13. But other than that, they're like pretty much the same case for all intents and purposes. And being that, as you can see in this ad, it came with an FSP 300 watt SFX sized power supply in each unit, I wasn't going to worry about that. Now the ad says there's no hard disk in here and no operating system, but while the latter might be true, the former is certainly not, as there are indeed 320 and 250 gigabyte drives respectively in each of these units, which is kind of a nice bonus I was not expecting. And as you might have expected, I did not pay $100 for one of these. I was instead able to talk him down to $160 for 2 of them, so $80 a piece. Anyhow, how it all unfolded was actually kind of interesting, because I messaged the guy, organized the time, arranged the price and all that business, and asked him where I could pick it up, and he said, and I'll quote from the email, "It's an office building and there's visitor parking. You'll just need to get a ticket from the ticket dispenser on the way in. Please head down to P2 parking. Once down, take a left and go straight. Park anywhere at the end. I'll be waiting for you." And when I fucking got there, oh man, it was a giant commercial office building, a major telecom company, in fact, I won't say which, and it was virtually deserted. I did not see a car in the lot. Now, if it weren't for the fact that I were picking up PC parts and 99.5% of my audience were male, I might suspect that he was trying to lure me in for a rape. Now, not to get really dark, but if you are one of these people that's trying to lure people on Kijiji in for a rape of some kind, you'd think there'd be a better way to do it than by putting used PCs up. I mean, I've seen some WoW players that you can definitely titty fuck, but it turns out the guy was actually a really nice guy. We went into the elevator lobby area of this massive complex, checked them out. He actually brought a monitor on a push cart with a keyboard so that we could boot them up and see everything was working. And after we exchanged some words and I told him about my YouTube channel, I took these babies home, and now here they are and we can play with them. And that is exactly what we're going to do right now. So I've chosen to go with this this one, because this one has the correct motherboard that was listed in the ad. The other one did not, for the record. The other one looked like it was a BioStar or ECS motherboard, but the RAM configuration was as advertised and all that business. But this one is the one with 1 stick of RAM that I think is a 4 GB, but we'll verify that visually. And I also, just looking at this thing here, I can see a 6-pin PCIe power connector, which is not present on the other units. So maybe this unit is actually more than 300 watts. Let's take a look. Bad recording practices here, because you're going to hear bumping. Microphone's on the same table as the computer. Oh no. It appears that this is an FSP 300-60GHS, which is a 300 watt unit. This makes for some interesting possibilities anyway. Not that I would necessarily utilize this, because I'm just not confident, given the age of the power supply, that it would even hold up. I think I'm going to go with my original plan, and I do have a plan, by the way. I haven't let you guys in on it yet. Let's take a look at that RAM just to make sure that it is indeed a 4 GB stick. Yes, it is. It's actually a part of a kit of 2, and one of them is absent. See if the camera will focus there. That's a Mushkin 2x4 8 GB kit, but I only have one of the sticks, so it is indeed 4. I don't know if I'm going to put that back in, because I might get a matching set and make it 8. Now what I also am going to do here is, of course, upgrade the CPU. That was obvious from the way I was talking about the fact that this i5 is not actually a quad core, and I have an i5 760 Linfield quad core. Definitely a step up from the 600 series. Oh, look at that. Copper heat slug. That means good. It means better quality stock cooler. Okay, I need cloth. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I also got a matching RAM kit, 8 GB here, that we're going to sub in. All right, very carefully now. Let's grab it by both ends. Pull it out. It is not an i5 661. It is an i5 655K. Anyway, in goes the more reliable and more relevant i5 760, although only slightly. Hoping to not hit any pins while plopping this down. By the way, since I am upgrading parts, I should probably give you prices for them, because we are increasing the base cost of this system. So for the record, the i5 760 I had sitting around was a $30 buy from about 4 or 5 months ago, I think. And the RAM came from my standard stack. That looks like Samsung DDR3 1333 right here. $13 a stick, $26 total. So that's adding $56 additional to this build. And the graphics card, of course, you guys knew what card it was going to be. I mean, I've been buying them up like fucking crazy. And I've showcased this card and its cousin in like 3 videos now. We have a GTX 1050 from Zotac. Okay, are we done? Is this a build? I think this is a build. So let's put the cover on, fire it up, get it started, and see how she looks. Oh, paid $100 for the graphics card, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. There, my friends, is the finished product over there on my coffee table. And I think what we're going to do here, just to close it out, you guys know I don't have any games that will really accurately benchmark this thing. So what I will do instead is just run a synthetic. We're going to run Valley for a little bit, show you what that looks like. And then I'm going to run Prime 95 concurrently, which will put the system at like 95% of power consumption maximum, and we'll look at the kilowatt on the wall and see exactly how much juice this thing is sucking through. This is on the high preset with the music on, which is kind of annoying. It's very loud. Anti-aliasing is at 4x, and we're easily into the 50s, no problem here. We had the high 40s in some of the scenes so far. It's pretty good. What a gorgeous benchmark. Hey, look at that. Don't you just want to live there? And now we're up to 130 from the wall. Oh, hi, Mango. He just hopped into my lap. Because now I think what we'll do is we'll get Prime 95 fired up to get that CPU pumping, and then put the benchmark back on again. Same settings. See if this 12-volt rail on this power supply holds up. Oh, it's a Rosie. Hello, Rosie. Okay, so now that everything's been running for a good, like, 15 minutes, let's take a look at the power consumption levels. Let's go over there without trying to make you guys too sick. And it looks like we are topping out at, and once again, I don't know if you can see that because of the lighting, but looks like 178, 194, 185. So it's bouncing around between 175 and 195. So there you have it, folks. That's what 236 Canadian dollars plus 195 watts from the wall will get you in terms of performance. Plus these, by the way, we have an extra CPU and a stick of RAM that we have to sell too, so keep that in mind. And it actually occurs to me that Germ Gaming, if you guys know him and his channel, his potato masher features very similar hardware. It actually has a 760 in it, I think. So the 1050 is significantly better than that, but otherwise pretty much the same. So if you want a better idea of how that kind of system will perform with modern games, I suggest you check out his channel. He's got way more in-depth stuff in terms of the gaming side of things than I do. Anyhow, guys, the Steam summer sale's right around the corner. I promise I will pick up some games that are worthy of benchmarking. They gotta have canned benchmarks though. I just can't afford, I don't have the fucking time to sit there and play a game for 2 hours to try and get exact precise scene
play it over and over again. I'm going to walk through Novigrad in this exact fucking number of footsteps so I can replicate this benchmark every single time.
Anyhow, follow me on Twitter at OFA and pay attention to that and this channel for streaming updates. I will be doing more of it, maybe sometime this week. Definitely not this weekend, but maybe sometime during the week. Anyhow, that's it for me. I'll see you again in the next one.